Let's be honest, MPVs have fallen out of favour as many buyers have gone to SUVs, but what if you want a mini MPV that looks a little bit like an SUV? Well, Fiat has the answer for you with the brand new 500L Cross. The 500L's got looks like Echo, the ever popular city car, but it's not quite as pleasing in its form as it looks a little bit bloated. Like a normal 500 that had too much to eat at Christmas, but with this being a cross model, you get a raised ride height, trekking body kit and side mouldings to make it look a little bit more outdoorsy. The cabin has got quite a few hard plastics, but the dashboard is laid out well and the switchgear has got quite a nice chunkiness to it. Plus, the dials are easy to read and there's good ease of use in here, which makes it a pleasant car to interact with. The Cross variant is based on the standard model's lounge trim, meaning you'll enjoy features such as dual zone climate control, rear parking sensors, cruise control, 7-inch touchscreen with DAB radio and Bluetooth, and automatic lights and wipers. Plus, with this being the Cross variant, you get 17-inch alloys and a driver mode selector as well. This car is normally priced from £18,195, but because this car's got the more powerful engine, it's got a few options, this weighs in at £21,270. So it's got the turbocharged 1.4 petrol engine, and in regards to options, it's got navigation, smartphone connectivity, front armrest, safety pack, Style Plus pack, and it's also got the Flex 2 pack. Oh, quite a lot of packs there. Thanks to the car's rather boxy nature, there's a good amount of space in here. In fact, in the front, I've got plenty of headroom, and in fact, I think you could probably fit Peter Crouch in here with a hat on. There's also a good amount of storage in here as well. In fact, I'll tell you one feature I do like, is a little cubby hole on the left side of the dash, which is quite handy. Plus, it's got a 500 logo on it for a bit of style. Very nice indeed. Headroom in the rear is pretty good as well, and the legroom isn't too bad either. You've also got a fold-down table, which is bound to be handy for long family drives, but that is part of an optional package. If you do need more legroom though, you can slide back the seat, give you a bit more space. That's more like it, but if you do that, you will cut into the boot space. Speaking of which, the boot offers 343 litres with the rear seats pushed all the way back and 400 litres with them pushed forward. That's more than the Ford B-Backs, but not quite as much as the Mini Countryman. But if you need more space, you can of course fold down the rear seats to give you 1,310 litres. The boot also has a three-way adjustable floor, which helps to give better flexibility, meaning it's even more practical for family life. There are 4 engines available in the 500L Cross, 2 petrol and 2 diesel. The petrol engines are made up of a naturally aspirated 1.4 litre unit, which produces 94 brake horsepower, or a turbocharged 1.4 litre unit, which produces 118 brake horsepower. Then you have the 2 diesels, both of which are turbocharged. You have a 1.3 litre unit, which produces 94 brake horsepower, and a 1.6 litre unit that produces 118 brake horsepower. The engine I have here is the turbocharged 1.4 litre unit though. As well as the 118 brake horsepower, it also has 215 Newton meters of torque. It's made to a 6-speed manual gearbox, which is quite nice to use. It's got a nice action, but I do find that it's not overly precise when you want to work it quickly. Power is fed to the front wheels. There's no option of 4-wheel drive for the 500L Cross. You would have to have a look at the Fiat 500X. In regards to performance, it will hit 62 miles per hour in 10.2 seconds, and the top speed is 117 miles per hour. Now, you can get an automatic gearbox. Well, it's kind of an automatic gearbox. It's the dual logic gearbox. Now, if you want that gearbox, you would have to have the 1.3 litre diesel for that. The performance is pretty good, although not much happens until you hit 2,000 revs and the power starts to run out at about 5,000 revs. But although it's only got 118 brake horsepower, it is pretty decent. I've had no trouble with this car on the motorway. I've overtaken other cars with no fuss. So it is quite a strong engine. It makes quite a nice noise as well. Now, the steering has actually got a nice weight to it, although it doesn't offer much feedback. Like with other Fiats, it has something called city steering. So I've got a button down here, press it like so, and then the steering goes all nice and light, which isn't really for me, but it will be handy for tight car parks and manoeuvring around town. Now, for ride, it's definitely on the firm side. and the ride can be quite busy, particularly on uneven or rougher roads. But I would never say it's truly uncomfortable, and the benefit of having a firmer setup is that it's actually quite composed in the corners, and the body roll is actually quite limited. It's actually better than I was expecting, particularly as it's kind of a high riding car. So in the corners, it's not actually too bad. Now, despite this being a rugged looking car, it doesn't offer four-wheel drive. It's front-wheel drive only, but you do have drive mode selectors. So you have normal, you've also got traction plus, and you've got something called gravity control. Now, for those of you wondering what on earth that is, get it? Earth, gravity, never mind. So for those of you wondering what it is, it's basically Fiat's fancy name for hill descent, but I prefer gravity control. It just sounds cool, doesn't it? Now, this car, with it being the cross version, it does have mud and snow tyres, and in its normal mode I would want a bit more grip, if I'm going to be honest, but when you put it into traction plus mode, you do get a bit more confidence from the chassis, which is quite nice. This isn't a proper off-road car, let's face it. This is probably more designed to get you out of a wet campsite. But is it safe? Now, I know that's an area which is going to be important for many of you watching, and I can report that it is. Now, despite it not having autonomous emergency braking, it was able to get 5 stars from Euro NCAP. Now, the autonomous emergency braking may not be standard, that's an optional extra by the way, but 6 airbags do come as standard, so it should keep your loved ones nice and safe. Now, there are a few things I don't like about this car. Firstly, I know this is going to sound terribly picky, but I don't like the sound of the indicators. To me, they sound like a 90s cab. Also, you probably won't hear it on camera, but you can hear the transmission working away when you change gear, and it's not particularly sexy. Now, like I say, you won't hear it on camera, which is pretty annoying, but ooh, a bit of a clunk there. You may have heard that one, and it just doesn't sound very refined. Now, on the topic of refinement, the 500L Cross it's okay. There's not a lot of tyre noise from the 17-inch alloys, but with it being a high riding car, there is a fair amount of wind noise once you get up to higher speeds on the motorway, but it's not too bad in here. It's never properly noisy in here, but like I say, the transmission, oh, just hear it again, the transmission is quite audible, which is a little bit disappointing. The engine can be a bit boomy when you get towards the top of a rev range, but at cruising speeds, it's quite nice and civil. It's pretty docile. Visibility out the car is pretty good. All the windows are nice and large. I've got no issue seeing either out the front, out the side, or out the rear. But if you do come stuck, you do have rear parking sensors, which will be very handy in a tight spot. Another handy feature, especially with today's super bright LED headlights, is that I have an auto-dimming rear view mirror, and I must say, when I've been driving on the motorway, that has been very useful indeed. But what about economy? Well, this is an area where the 500L Cross doesn't exactly shine, not with this engine anyway. Now, this 1.4 turbocharged engine, it offers 42.2 mpg on a combined run, and in my experience I was getting around 34, 35, which isn't truly awful, but it's nothing to write home about. Mind you, if you're writing home about your car's MPG, I would be rather concerned. The fact that the car doesn't have a stop-start doesn't help matters either. So when I come to stop at traffic lights, the engine is still running and it doesn't automatically cut off. This engine isn't exactly the greenest either, as it emits 157 grams per kilometre, so it's not very polar bear friendly, is it? But if economy is what you're after, then take a look at the 1.3 litre diesel on a combined run that offers 72.4 miles to the gallon with 104 grams per kilometre of CO2 emissions. The 500L Cross is good for those who are looking for a mini MPV with rugged looks, but despite this I still think the majority of buyers will opt for a more traditional SUV. But the 500L does have its charms, plus it offers good performance and it should be more than practical for everyday family life. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up and please subscribe for more car obsession.